Welcome to the Livxplore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe. Welcome, everyone. I'm Sean Payne, founder of Livxplore Real Estate and Lifestyle. And today I have with us Amy Ahlers, who joined us just a couple weeks ago here. We're very fortunate to have you on board that way. And so let's jump right in and tell everyone a little bit about you and your real estate career that way. So how long have you been doing real estate?
I have been doing real estate for almost 5 years. And actually, I should first say thanks for having me in here. I'm so excited to be doing this. But almost 5 years now. I started on a team as a buyer's agent.
Okay.
And then kind of slowly worked my way up to doing listings.
Right.
And then that team dissolved about a year and a half ago, and I went solo.
Very cool. Very
cool.
You know, I kind of saw you come up with your career. Were you with, 5 years, was that Pacific Union right when they switched over?
Right when it switched over.
So you joined Pacific Union, so you saw,
Yes.
very cool, very cool.
When I signed on, it was Pacific Union.
So yeah, what an interesting time to kind of build your career in real estate. You got going for a little bit, then COVID hit, and then we kind of got back to normal here the last year and a half or 2 years that way. So what made you get into real estate?
I've always had an interest in real estate. I purchased my first home when I was pretty young. It was a disaster. It was a foreclosure. It was a mess, but that's what I could afford. And so that was, to me, just exciting to be able to see, be able to put in the money and the investment and the sweat equity into that and then seeing it pay off into my next house. I just feel like real estate's one of those investments that you can actually live in. Like, that's just so cool to me, and I geek out over stuff like that. It provides shelter and it provides an investment opportunity. And so for me, that was so intriguing to me. I wanted to know more. I wanted to get into it more. I've always been the kind of person that wants to work for myself. And so I think that was just kind of the next step for me.
Okay. What field did you come from?
Events industry.
Events.
So I had an event planning company shortly after I got out of college. So I'd worked in events all of college. And then when I graduated, I worked for a little while at a couple wineries and opened up my own business while I was working at the wineries.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
And then you bought the foreclosure at that point. And then...
Yes. Yeah. That is actually the exact time that I bought the foreclosure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's kind of, somewhat similar industries in being that you have to be a people person and interact that way. So yeah, that seems like a kind of a natural transition that way. So how has your, over the 5 years, how's your experience been? How has it differed from what you expected that way?
Great question. Well, I think it's been what I've expected. I love it. I feel like you're always learning. I think I studied so hard for the real estate exam just to walk in to be like, wow, that really doesn't teach you anything you actually need to know.
Right.
So I think that was probably different for me, is the hands-on experience is so different. Each transaction is so different. And so I don't think I realized, when you're planning an event, of course, they're all different and you got to plan for worst case scenario. So it's similar in that way. But the timeline is generally pretty much the same for every wedding you do or special event, whereas in real estate, every transaction is so different, just depending on circumstances, whether you're helping the buyer, the seller, both. So, yeah,
Sure.
I would say that was probably, it's not as by the book. You got to you're on your toes the whole time.
Every transaction is different. Like you're learning something every time, which is kind of nice that way.
It is.
So
It's
yeah,
exciting.
it breaks the monotony that way.
Yeah.
Cool. So what areas have you focused on? What areas do you focus on that way? What are some of your niches that way?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I'm still pretty broad and I haven't found my exact niche yet. I definitely tend to help well, actually, this year I've tended to help a lot of right-sizing buyers, so people who are moving to, downsizing or that sort of thing. Whereas before I found that I was mostly helping families that were growing into bigger houses, first-time home buyers, that sort of thing. So I think I'm still pretty broad as far as my niche goes.
Right. That's super interesting. Definitely two segments of the market. So are you working with like a clientele that maybe are towards retiring that way? Is that what you're okay.
Which I was not previously as often. I was every once in a while. So
right.
It's interesting.
Obviously you sell here in Petaluma. What other areas do you sell, things of that nature? Mainly single family homes, but I think you do a little bit of everything that way.
Mainly single family, some condos.
Okay.
Recently mobile homes as well, just as of this year. So that's been an interesting educational experience.
The mobile homes?
Yes. So,
yep.
So mostly Petaluma, but honestly, Rona Park, Cotati, and Santa Rosa more this past year. Petaluma was my main focus last year, so it's interesting to see it kind of shifting. I'm a little bit in San Rafael and Marin, also going forward into that coming months.
Sure, so pretty much all over North Bay.
All over the North Bay.
Yep, very cool, very cool. So are there any like segments that you want to get in with the real estate that way? Like any niches that I know I kind of threw this out there.
You did.
Yeah. But like in 5 years, where would you see yourself? Like what segment of the market do you see yourself working?
Probably, I feel like I tend to draw people that are in similar life experiences as I am. So I think wherever I am in 5 years, it'll probably be pretty similar. Maybe a lot of move-up buyers still. I have a lot of connections with people with families just because that's the phase of life I'm in right now. But yeah, so I probably see myself hopefully narrowing down a little bit in my niche at that point. But yeah, pretty similar to where I am now.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we've got through the boring real estate stuff.
Great.
What makes Amy tick when you're not doing real estate? Tell us what your hobbies and interests are that way.
I feel like my kids, I mean, I don't know if they're a hobby, but that's what tends to kind of keep me the most busy outside of all of this. We tend to do like a lot of family activities. We really focus on having fun together when we're not at work. We have a big blended family. I should point that out as well. So we have 5 kids between my husband and I. So we are constantly on the go, constantly in sports and dance and all the places and trying to figure out who's picking up when and where and who's making dinner and feeding everybody and all of that. So that keeps us on our toes. I love to work out. I work out at a boutique Pilates studio here in Petaluma that I just adore. It's called Body Rock. It's like therapy for me, but also I just like to work out.
Very cool.
I was a dancer, so I think that kind of carries over.
Right. Yeah, dance. And you have 1 or 2 daughters in dance?
3 daughters.
3 daughters in dance. Yeah, so that
my
keeps
2 daughters and my stepdaughter.
Right, which is a very like intense sport activity that way. I mean, you guys are traveling a lot and lots of practice, lots of rehearsals, very involved that way. Yeah. But you also like to escape. It looks like you go up, go up to the lake.
I love going to the lake. So we have a site at Blue Lake, up in like Upper Lake, more north of Ukiah, well, a little bit east. So we tend to go there as much as we possibly can. Our site, the venue that we're at is open from April to October, so we try to escape there as much as we can on the weekends.
I see.
It's a good place to like take all the kids. They just ride their bikes, get dirty, go swim. We track them all down at the end of the night, make s'mores.
Yep. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I used to go up there when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I have a lot of good memories. So, very cool. Very cool. Well, is there anything else that you'd like people to know about you that we haven't covered today?
Good question. I think just that I like to be really hands-on and involved in real estate and also with my kids and in life. I think that I'm very like dive in head first and get very involved. So I think when it comes to my transactions, I like to think that I'm very on top of everything, very communicative with everyone and making sure that it gets done as smoothly as possible. And I think I'm the same way in life too. When it comes to my kids and school and all of that, I'm very much involved. So
very cool. Very cool. So if people need to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Probably email's the easiest.
Okay.
My email is amy.ahlers, AHLERS @livxplore.com. Also text is probably easy too. Email's nice because then I can make sure I get back to everybody.
Sure. Nope, I totally get that. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we are very fortunate to have you on board. Thank you very much for joining Livxplore. You're a great fit here with your personality and you're a go-getter. And we look forward to watching your career continue to grow that way. So again, if you're looking for a local agent, Amy is a great option that way. And please reach out to her. Again, I'm Sean Payne, owner and founder of Livxplore. Amy Ahlers, great local agent here. Reach out to her, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Welcome to the Livxplore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.